Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing another donor perk, and I want to be very clear that this one's a donor perk. It's a 2014 Oktoberfest game between Tufts and Richmond, and it's Noah Schwartz who decided he wanted this reviewed. It's his absolute favorite game, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at it. Even though it's a pretty old game, I think there are some lessons, and it's at least worth kind of comparing and contrasting the metas in terms of the speed of play, and also the development of some of the players on the field. You're going to see a very, very young Julia Baer, future Team USA player, obviously, and kind of the way she was starting to grow as a player. So we get to look at all that. As always, please like and subscribe to the channel. It really does make a big difference. And with that said, let's get into it. Alright, so like I said, this is a match from Oktoberfest 2014 between Tufts and Richmond. This is going to be by far the most awkward film analysis I've ever had to do. I'm doing this as a favor because Noah Schwartz asked me to. I think it's his favorite game. Obviously, Noah and I have done a lot of stuff together over the years in Quidditch, so we're going to look through it. But, I mean, I'm playing in the game, which is going to make it really awkward. We also kind of play well, but it's also really a really old game. So this is season Tufts won Northeast Regionals. They also won this Oktoberfest tournament. This is taken from beating Maryland in the finals. It was Maryland's only loss of the year before they lost to Lone Star in the Final Four at Nationals. So, yeah, we're going to get into it, and I'm going to try to make this as not awkward as possible, and hopefully we can still learn some valuable things from it. This is a really young Jake Archibald HRing, by the way. That's Julia Baer making that tackle there. This is her senior year at Richmond, and she was a beater for most of her career until she finally became a chaser. You can also see a young Max Havlin. He's the AR in the red sweatshirt. All right, so bludger control goes to Tufts. They immediately swap out. And this is Tufts' first line, which was very much a alley-oop and shoot offensive line. So this is a wide pass to the wing. I don't like that they started running the offense before the beaters were able to get in the play. I think the beater that was coming in from the subline hadn't even crossed midfield yet. That's a long pass too close to a beater, and I think it gets cleaned up pretty easily. Yeah, definitely a wasted possession. Tufts really far up here. I've talked a lot about beaters kind of coming up if they feel like they can dominate a play. But he got isolated. Like the unarmed beater had him wrapped and made it a really easy beat to clean up for bludger control here. And there's Julia Baer doing Julia Baer things, taking her space. I mean, this is her first year playing Chaser. It kind of speaks just kind of the skills she had. Like, so few people immediately take this initiative, immediately hit this hole, and know when to time their shot to make it before, I believe this is David Stack playing keeper, steps out on them. And she makes it look really, really, really easy. Which it is not as easy as she just made that look. So this tap beat, so I get the idea here, right? So the tap beat is supposed to force the move so that he can get into the lane and the beaters have to do something. But I think it comes too early, and now he's a little bit isolated. Like he wasn't ready to run that play early enough. That said, he was able to find a good pass. Let's see how this opened up. It would just look like nobody covered him. This is probably too heavy of a double team. I think maybe she was stepping to the tap beat. It's hard to see where all the Richmond players are there, but regardless. I think it's important to note that back then, like 2014, like resets weren't really a thing. You just kind of like ran your offense on every possession, and that was that, right? Like you either succeed or you failed. You make that pass, and it's either good or it's bad. You don't reset because the beaters didn't work out or something. It's a really nice cut through the middle of the zone here, so let's see how this play develops. This is a cut you don't see as much in the modern game because beaters are so good at protecting this area of the zone, but people are really used to attack kind of this area right in front of the keeper. There's an old cut called the Maryland cut. Aaron Mowry always used to run it to perfection, which is basically you start behind the hoops and you run your cut in between two hoops, pop out in front of the keeper, catch it, turn and shoot. He's actually going to run it from the wing here. That's just a nice cut in to get his body across. I think this beater's just a little bit high is really the problem here. Because he almost gets there. I mean, it was very, very close. So obviously, modern game, we'd like to see a attempt at bludger control, and then if it fails miserably, which it did there, to just pull it back. But again, that's not how the game was played in 2014. In 2014, you just went for it once that exchange happened. There's that Maryland cut we were talking about, right? So he comes right between these two hoops. And the reason it works so well, right, is because his defender basically gets shaded behind him. So they can't defend the pass because they can't run through a hoop, right, to get to one side of them. So they have to enter right behind them. And if the keeper's kind of out of position, a lot of times you can just catch and score. At this point, the pass is just a little bit off. Almost goes through that hoop even, but yeah, it's going to get cleaned up eventually. So Richmond dominating the flow because they've really done the basics to keep bludger control. I don't think Tufts has really made a good attempt at getting it back in any way. Same thing, this really high pressure of the beaters, something you don't really see anymore, especially without bludger control. I mean, these Richmond beaters could easily blow up this one bludger and force a no bludger situation. Richmond again looking for this cut on the wing. This time it's a lot better defended. Look at the way, let's go back a few seconds and see the way he's defending this. So first, the important thing he does, he has a hand on him, right? So it is not legal to grab this player, but you should be grabbing this player because if you grab this player, he can't get away from you and nobody's ever making this call. So you can see this hand checking, and this is great because when he tries to go through, his arm never stops locking onto him, right? And this is great defense. This is how you want to be playing defense off ball. Because then as he comes around, first of all, he doesn't have access to this arm, so it's going to be really hard to catch. And second of all, he's kept his body in front of him the entire time. And yeah, that pass is just going to zip past and get easily cleaned up by Tufts. Better play for bludger control here. And again, I mean, you've seen Tufts is running kind of the same offense every time, right? It's make that one beat on point and then throw up a pass, and it's worked on 0 occasions. I mean, this one might get chased down and be okay. Yeah, it's going to be reset. So it's better. Same idea again. So this is a better offensive possession by Tufts, but I think it's just because they happen to be getting to these rebounds. Okay, so they did get bludger control, and they're going to run 1.5 here. 1.5, very big part of the meta at this point. Good attempt to hold him up, doesn't quite succeed. He's going to get the full wrap, and now Tufts is going to basically be running on no bludgers. But doesn't. I think it's a timing issue again, right, from Tufts. So let's see, because he is on this beater, and he's just barely crossing midfield. I mean, that just needs to be all timed a little bit better because he slips out just in time to make that beat. Wait, how does Richmond have bludger control? Oh no, that's the quaffle. Okay, ignore me. I get what's happening there. Hey, quaffle looks very bludger-like in my defense. I think that's going to be a foul. Yeah, that's a back to hoops. That's a back contact, to be sure. So that's just kind of a really, really simple foul thing here, right? If it's really hard to pick your moment of contact to a player just getting the ball, and I think you could definitely argue to some degree she intentionally turns her back on this one at this point, but it's a better to be safe than sorry situation there for sure. A little bit too much hesitation with the quaffle there, right? So you know this beater's right on top of you. You don't have time to make that many moves. And Tufts able to clean it up. I'm not sure, without a bludger in the play, whether Richmond had many options either way, shape, or form, but regardless. So Tufts taking its subs. You're going to run another 1.5 here. Again, the timing, I think, is off. The keeper's way too far behind. But this time the ball... Because, look, so what's the difference here, right? This Richmond beater, this time, offers up basically tapping out the beater, which is a fine way to attack 1.5. But if this keeper is at, like, right around here at this point, this beater's not going to have time to get this ball. But because the keeper's all the way back here, let's see where the keeper even gets to by the time that Richmond... So the Richmond beater has the ball again, and the keeper is just on the edge of the keeper zone. If he was better timed with that, he's already at the hoops at this point. And he ends up coming off brim anyway. This is good beating work overall by Tufts here. Top beater takes the exchange. I think he even wins the exchange. Back beater immediate. This is great awareness here. Immediately closes down. Forces the turnover. All right, so this is the shift that Noah wanted to be shown on this channel. This is the reason he asked for this, I'm pretty sure. So our first line, as you know, as I said, was just a lot of drive and either shooting or a single dish. Our second line ran a really heavy series of screens and cuts to try to get our goal. So here you can see to start with, it's another 1.5 attempt. We were able to pull the beater out here. Our now unmarked offensive player is able to cut right into the lane. Misses that shot, but gets a rebound. And then just a drop pass at the end there. So I think we might be getting a card when all said and done. No. He's just going to... I think he was just calling for a beat before or something. High exchange there. Does get Richmond bludger control. So a few things happen here, right? So I think a lot of back beaters sit back on this play because they said, we lost the exchange. Like, I need to sit back. She immediately pressures ball, and the whole team's kind of responding to that. So you can see I am on the right side of this player because I'm not worried about him making a deep cut because I know my keeper and my chasers are there. But I know he's about to be in trouble because our beater's pressing, so I'm just on the inside. It's not that hard to pick off. So no bludger control there. Richmond wins this exchange. Again, like I said, back then we didn't really go back when you lose an exchange. This is a pretty standard cut even to this day. Noah just comes, even though covered, and this is something we talked about, that you can be making cuts even when you're covered. Even though covered, he's going to make this cut to the front of that hoop, keep his shoulder right up against this hoop so that his defender can't follow through. You can see that by doing this, his defender, like usually his defender would run right here, but he'd be running right through the hoop, so he's forced to just stay behind him the whole time. And this is something Noah always used to like to do. He'd catch and turn his body away from the hoop because nobody would really expect him to go that way, and then just fire it through. Teammate even takes a beat for it. Also, to kind of pinpoint this in beater time, this is like the year before Riders is a thing, and Max Havlin kind of takes off with this super aggressive beating style and kind of changes the whole beater meta. So that's why beating just looks like so weird here. And there's a lot of 1.5ing at this point, as you can see. This is how we always taught attacking 1.5. So basically, one beater's defending the beater with the ball. Her job, she's actually watching the other ball at this point, so this is a bad example, but basically, you can almost always sidestep a full-on charge from a beater because they don't have that side-to-side momentum, and you do. So he waits till the last second, takes one juke around him, and then just pressures ball. And now it's no bludger behind him, but he's going to be able to get back in this play, and that's a really long pass. Yeah, it even gets picked off. And this is just great recognition by everybody. We talk about how when you're fast breaking, you need to make that decision immediately, and you can always pull it back. So Emily Hickmott makes the interception here. Even though there were two bludgers there, obviously one was on the ground, right? Because one of the beaters didn't have one. And we knew that the other Tufts beaters actually attacking the beater defending two of them. So they just decided to run because sure, there's bludgers back, but they're all on the ground. He clears away the only beater still holding one. She's able to go end-to-end and score. I think she might get called beat before. I'm not going to bother to find out whether it was called beat before or not. I still like the play. Tufts is able to come away with bludger control on that play, which is big. This is another timing issue. I think a lot of setting apart kind of modern day and past is these timing issues. He goes in for this exchange to kind of wrap up the armed beater before his teammate's really there. And that kind of makes it so that he's able to get this beat off on him and almost use him as a shield, right? Before she's even in the play. And that's going to take her out of the play. And then, again, she's been doing a great job of closing down all these passes all game. I mean, she's out there so quickly. And then I imagine we're going to look to run because really, like we said, that's what you should be doing all game, every game, though I think we're going to get a stoppage. So two bludgers. Like I said, we're going to look to run. You can see everybody outside of Emily who is on the ground to pick up that turnover in the first place is ready to go. Beater's ready to go. Noah's calling things out down the field. Underrated thing that I think, I've talked about this on the channel before. I think the most prominent example would be Mathieu Gregoire in this past year's MLQ finals against Boston, where there was a stoppage in play. He knew he wanted to run a fast break off of the restart, but he didn't tell any of his teammates that, so nobody went with him. There's no reason during a restart that your entire team on the field shouldn't be communicating about what the plan is immediately after you start. You're never going to get that golden of an opportunity for communication during run of play, so you should always be taking it during a stoppage. And so this is something I believe Grace talks about in her Unmarked Chaser video. The lanes that you want to take in fast break, you should have someone running down the middle, someone running down each wing, cutting to hoops. If you have the fourth player, they can also cut all the way back around. But you can see, I mean, this beat goes really wide, so Noah's just going to take it in no bludger. But at any point, if he wanted to, I'm just standing right here next to this hoop for a pretty easy goal. But he's going to score it that way instead. Really nice high pressure again. And we were talking earlier about how he was positioning so high because he thought it was matchups he could win. I've talked about this a lot on the channel, being more aggressive if you think you're in good matchups. And Richmond's first line beaters, I don't think he was necessarily winning all the time, but against this line, he's been winning all the time. So now he's all the way up at half field. Maybe half field's a little high, but I mean, he's forcing turnovers in their end, which is just impressive. And then, I mean, this is going to be a really free fast break. I'm recognizing it right away. I'm going to cut, but I mean, Noah's just going to have it free all by himself. That didn't used to be a foul. You could probably call it like the Teddy Costa or the Tyler Trudeau rule. that eventually came into effect a couple years later. This is all man defense, by the way. Nobody used to play zones outside of like the Baylor zone. So you can see we're starting to start our press really high up the field because we know that our beaters have been winning every time, and we want him to be able to force a turnover if he does win. It is a beater sub, though, and we do finally lose bludger control. This is a nice screen, I believe, run over here. Yep, Richmond runs a nice pick here to get our point defender off the play. No roll, though. That's the only bummer. I think this is a tough spot. This is another thing that we talked about in Grace's Unmarked Chaser video. This is a tough spot to put your Unmarked Chaser because she doesn't have any threats to score when she's kind of parallel to the hoops, and the entire team's crashing down on her, including a bludger. And I mean, she could probably have just reset right away to that player who set the screen and then didn't roll in. He did roll in, so that was the problem. All the cuts were really difficult to throw to. And we're going to fast break again. Even though we were against bludger control, once we read the situation, we slowed it down. So this is something I don't advise people doing in the modern game. So right here, I probably don't have a choice in the first one. So I don't think I really had a choice in I was going to say I like when people just start running backwards, which I think I was. He just threw early. I was kind of forced into this. And then obviously it's an illegal tackle. You can't tackle somebody who's just not in possession of the ball. So basically the two of us need to make sure we don't turn the ball over this one beater because there's no quaffle players around and our beaters are about to win a battle for bludger control. So ideally we just split up immediately and give her an impossible situation. We'll see what we do. We kind of run in the same direction, which isn't great. I do like that I was at least running back, so that's ideal. I should not have been running towards the other beaters where we're getting bludger control, and I should definitely probably not be throwing this pass. So this is a pretty classic look that we ran with our off-ball chasers, and this is something I've talked about a couple times, the off-ball screens. So Noah and Emily, who's slightly off-screen here, are going to run crossing routes across each other, and Emily's going to screen for Noah. This is why I throw this pass. This makes a lot more sense. So Noah's completely unmarked here, and if I just keep this ball high enough, he scores easily. I put it on the ground, which is why he doesn't score. But yeah. Off-ball screens, totally underutilized in Quidditch. You could see just how wide open he was, even though both players were defended down there. Same thing we were seeing from our first line of beaters, right? Like, we take this exchange and we instantly pressure ball and make it hard on the other team. This time they are able to keep control. No, they do eventually lose it to a good tackle. And then we're always going to run until we see a reason not to run. All right, so let's see what happens on this play. So I'm coming down, and I see that basically nobody was able to step out to cover me because I think we're still on a power play. Yeah, we are. You can see the player in the box over there. So my goal is just to try to drag this beater's attention for as much time as possible. I pump fake once to do it. He's just going to run a super simple Maryland cut here. You can see him coming through the hoops. His defender has no route behind him. He gets that in plenty of space and finds a hoop to throw it through. This is why you should always be cutting, even when you're covered, because even covered, you can always find yourself space if you're making the right cuts. That beater just should not have come out that far on me, but he kind of had to because none of his chasers came out on me, so it was a tough situation. Good enough defense there. I'm a really bad defender for anybody who doesn't know, but just needs to be enough of a wrap to give my beater some space to hit. And we're always going to look to run. So basically, first rule, in my opinion, of fast breaks, we've talked about this a million times, but here's me actually doing it. Never assume you're going to score. You always assume you need one pass to score the goal, and you want to go as far into the contact as you can. I think I draw this beat. So yeah, I take the beater out of the play and then loop one to her. Honestly, this pass could have been thrown with a little more force. I definitely lay her out to dry a little bit, but I mean, luckily Emily is very, very, very good at what she does. Same concepts here again on defense. I believe they take a tap beat this time, and our beater just takes the opportunity to force a pass out of the keeper. I really like this play. I think it's a little underused. Like, people don't attack off of bad tap beats enough. I do a horrible. Let's watch my terrible job of defending here. So I think I was gonna switch is the problem, but I mean, this is bad. Like, I'm never getting that switch in time. I think Teddy Costa on his video with Darren Bell, the Carlton Quidditch video, was talking about how sometimes if you know you're never going to get to a switch, you're never going to be able to help on ball, you need to just really tighten up on your man and let the pieces fall as they may on the rest of the field. I did not do that here. I am stuck in no man's land. Luckily, our beaters are so good at cleaning these things up. All right, so we're going to run another half-court set here. And then this is just one of the simpler cuts we run in our set. Noah started on the far side. You could see him go off screen right there. He's going to come all the way around. Again, hook his shoulder close to the hoop so his defender can't follow. Everything I throw is always no look so that the keeper stays flat-footed. And again, even though the pass isn't perfect, I mean, Noah's very good at doing these things. Just catches and immediately scores. But again, I mean, I think every goal we've scored has, with maybe the exception of the Emily play, has been a pass to a marked player. And it's just kind of, again, reinforcing that all the concepts that Grace is going over, like, just because you're a marked player does not mean you should stay in the spot on the field. You should always, always, always be moving. More bad defending by me. And that was really unfortunate. So we get very lucky here. So a lot of things go wrong, right? So let's go back to the start of the play. He takes a tap beat here. This is fine. I think I need to switch, and I don't. I think we're maybe just relying on this press, which is fine. But I should at least then be covering up this pass, which I also don't. Both beaters stepping to one quaffle player. That's the real issue on this play. That needs to be better communicated. I like this throwback here. Throwbacks not as in vogue back then as they were. Andrew Miller was always great at them. Make sure to keep bludger control. The problem is then he runs right through his teammate's bludger, which forces no bludgers. Yeah. Just really lucky that shot was thrown way over that hoop. Because should have been a free goal. All right, we're going to sub again. All right, so we're 1.5. This is a better time 1.5, or at least he's making the contact as he's going by the point defender. Problem is, I think he took like a jab to the chest or something and was not ready anymore, so he's just going to turn that over. Yeah, that's going to be it. Yeah. I'd say our 1.5s weren't actually that great in this game. I also don't know why we have that beater running 1.5 because he was never a very physical beater. I think that's a statement about knowing your players and knowing, like, Andrew Miller was a great beater in his time, but never a very physical beater, never like the physical part of the game. So why did we have him running 1.5s? I have literally no clue. Like I said, this is just going to be a turnover. Just the same concepts defensively, just working again and again and again. So I don't like this fast break, though I think it worked. This is where I think a pass needs to be thrown. He's making the perfect cut here, so just hit them for an easy goal. This cut's a little late, but regardless, you should not be trying to do this all by yourself. The fact that it worked was just wild. That slide was something else. That was just too forced into multiple defenders. That's a better fast break. Actually getting into the lane, drawing the beater, and 2 passing options. These are the routes that, again, Grace was talking about in that video the other day. 1 to the hoop, 1 around the back. He ends up hitting the 1 around the back. The 1 at the hoop ends up taking the beat, so it works out perfectly. Easy goal. Yeah, at this point, the game is well out of range. It looks like it's 100 to 20. Or, sorry, 80 to 20. And this play, I don't remember what the rules of reset were at that point. If that was a legal play, though, that's a heads-up play by the beater. So I think it's gonna be called not good. But oh well, I like the idea. Oh no, it was called good. Nice. Yeah, it's just an awareness play. Same defense concepts as always. We take that 1 exchange. Second beater steps up and just forces the turnover. I mean, Richmond's run into that probably on 10 straight occasions at this point. Now we're back to that other kind of one-pass offense that wasn't as effective in the early game. God. Can we talk about this Julia Bear tackle? So this is something I think is underused in tackling, which is getting a hand on the ball arm so that they can't do anything with that arm. And I mean, you can even drag them down by their arm. She's going to rip that ball right out from him. God, it's insane how early the pieces of her stardom were already in place. Like, I've watched this game before, but probably like 3 or 4 years ago, so like I didn't even think to notice these things, but God, they are prominent when she's on the pitch. That is, so I hate this pass, right? So why do I hate this pass? You don't have bludgeon control. Your beaters haven't made an attempt for bludgeon control yet. You know that the Tufts beaters have been closing down every pass, so you loop a thing from a mile away. Like, your best situation there is just not a very good situation. Like, this was probably your best situation. You get possession, you even dodge a beat, but there's multiple beaters there. Like, they've tried to beat you 3 times already, and now it's fast break the other way. She might pull this one back. She knows there's a beater there. No, she's just going to go for it. Fine with that idea. And they're going to finish. Nice. So nobody giving up on the play, right? He was the one who made the initial tackle, came all the way down the fast break, seeing that was going to be an extended fast break. And again, not trying to go through the whole team, especially when beaters are there. They've done a good job of not making that mistake on all these fast breaks. All right, and I think Seekers are about to be released. Oh no, maybe that was a qualified player, yeah, so ignore me on that. Scrum on the ground there. I think someone might get a foul. I'm not sure. I think that was for the early contact on that first pass, actually, and they were playing advantage until then. Again, probably a bit too forced of a pass. I think this offensive line just has been really struggling with that. He probably threw this a little too far. If he's up by where the beaters are, he probably gets this to him before the defense can close down. But with that much length on it, it was not that hard for the keeper to read it. Really nice fast break by Richmond. Same concepts, taking the contact and looking for a pass. He just slipped at the wrong time there after receiving that one, or I think he probably scores. Which is why, like, you can fast break even on two bludgers if they're out of positions. Like, there's never a bad time to think about a fast break. You just don't always want to execute them if they're not there. Really free there. So one of the problems when David Stack was on the field for Tufts is that and this is something we weren't exploiting enough early because we were still like tapping point defenders, is their point defenders were not doing enough to stop him, so he could get in the lane at will. So then if their beaters lost, I mean, this, like he does here on this 1.5, or she does on this 1.5, this is just so free. Not too much to see there. I feel like we've watched that same offensive possession from Richmond like 22 times at this point. I feel like they just need to give it to Julia on the wing again. They did it once at the beginning of the game, and she just instantly scored, and then they've never done it again. So the old pass shot just happens to go in. And now the camera, okay. So this is interesting. So the beater exchange was different this time. Let's see what happened. I think it's going to be hard to see here. Oh, so Tufts did not have bludger control. So basically she just created space for her teammate to work. And again, just good coverage on all these passing options. This is bad communication by the two Richmond beaters. She's too far up while her teammate's too far back, so she gets very isolated and loses control off of it. That nice back heel. I don't like the pass idea here. I think the beater's sitting far enough back that you can't throw this Maryland cut. You need to throw a different cut. So when you throw the Maryland cut, he just answers it. And that's why Maryland cuts don't really exist anymore, because beaters do all sit so far back that that area of the field's just never open. Another fast break. I don't hate the shot because the beat was coming, and it's probably going to work out when all is said and done. It didn't. But I don't think he had necessarily a better opportunity. He's even able to keep possession. There's definitely been some 50-50 balls Tufts has just won the races to over the course of this game. Also, I feel like something that doesn't get talked about enough when you kind of talk about the differences in the game style, because resets weren't a thing back then, like, there have been so many more possessions in this game than there are in your average Quidditch. Like, it feels like I've been analyzing this game forever, even though it's the same 18 minutes of all the other games I've analyzed. just because there's so many possessions that you're not just sitting around as like teams slowly set up. It's just kind of wild how much the sport has changed in those 5 years. So they do send it out to Julie on the wing at this point, and it gets them one of their better possessions, so it does still get broken up. Because she's able to draw out the contact from Stack, still get the ball off, so now he was out of position, but no harm, no foul for Tufts. There's no time in this video, so I think we're going to get a very, very quick catch from somebody. Yep, there it is. Alrighty. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully it wasn't too awkward. It felt awkward for me, but I'm sure it wasn't necessarily. Please like and subscribe, and check out for more content. We've got some more content coming soon. Take care.